What's up, everybody? It's Coach Dave, and I lift.
It's Coach Cameron, and I lift.
Welcome to the She Lifts, He Lifts podcast. And tonight, we originally started to try this myth, but these aren't myths that we're going to talk about tonight. These are more like almost out of context.
Okay.
Okay? Because I feel like the verbiage doesn't tell the whole story.
Well, it's a catch line.
All right.
It's to get you to look at it and oh, I need this in my life some way.
And the part about it is I always want to make things as sustainable for people as I can, whether it's my clients, whether it's my listeners, whether it's my friends and family, or just people that randomly ask me for advice, because let's face it, we have those too.
Sure.
But I want to make it as realistic as possible. And so a lot of times when we say something, we have a way of saying things that are true but could also not be. And we're going to get into them with three big ones that come to me, 2 in the gym, 1 in nutrition. And we're going to start with in the gym, because one of the things that I was taught, and I was actually taught this at a very young age, and that's since been dispelled, but a low rep range, meaning 1 to 3, maybe to 8, is for strength and size.
Okay.
And a higher rep range, meaning 10 or more, is for getting lean, losing weight. Now, here's what research now has shown. You can build muscle, meaning actually add muscle mass, anywhere from 5 to 30 reps. Okay? 30 reps is a lot of reps.
30 reps is a lot of reps. That I have to disagree with.
Okay. That's what plenty of research shows that is. However, there is a sweet spot. There's also it has more to do with how close you go to failure.
It has everything to do with
how you go to failure. The thing that it also shows is in those higher rep ranges, those 50, yes, you can hypertrophy the muscles, but you are not going to build as much strength.
Yeah.
Strength is a skill. Strength is a learned behavior, just like we talked about last week with posture.
True.
Okay. Strength is a learned behavior. If I don't practice lifting heavy,
or I just lift to lift, and I don't lift with intention of those specific muscles. I'm just bicep curling instead of really focusing.
Here's, again, all things being equal, form being good, things like that. One of the things that I have seen is people who do higher rep range training tend to add other behaviors that do lend themselves toward getting lean, i.e., shorter rest times in between sets, moving a little faster, because we are trying to get to failure. So that first, you're doing 20 bicep curls, those first 8 really aren't going to do a lot. So you tend to pump the muscle and get a bigger pump.
Well, so where I'm going to say, with a tagline like this, the hard part is we've got many things that go into play. Your age.
Right.
Okay. So if I'm 20 to 30, I'm going to do something different than when I'm 40 to 50 versus when I'm 50 to 60.
I agree with that.
All right. So rep ranges are going to change there. So there's never that one. And that's where I hate things making like this one size fits all.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't like the one size fits all. It really is very specific. It's how you're eating. You're not going to be able to hit the failures. You're not going to be able to lift heavy weights. What are you looking for? Women will come to us all the time and say, I want to look toned. What does that mean? What does that mean? But they have to identify, because I know what I want to see. Okay. And I don't want to look bulky. You have to find that person. So then that's finding those rep ranges that work for that as well.
That I agree. And that I 100% agree with, because one of the things I also say when it comes to your rep range, what is your end goal?
Right.
And I'm not just saying not in the surface goal of I want to lose weight, or I want to get stronger, or I want to get whatever. If you are training for something, and I always come back to this, when I train for competition, I go to see how much weight of a certain weight I can move, how many times, how quickly. Usually that's around 185. So I can deadlift a 1 rep max of, I think we just hit one recently, of 355. But if I'm within 6 weeks of I'm not trying to where if I screw up and pull something, or I'm going to be, hurt my back or my leg or my arm for competition. The other part is the guy I'm wrestling ain't going to be 350 pounds. He could be at most 185. So how how much can I control and move around 185 pounds? That's what's going to benefit me. And
Right.
like you said, if someone's trying to get quote unquote toned, what does tone mean to you? But yes, there is a rep range that is going to be to help with that. But at the end of the day, like you said, it's gonna your size has more to do, and your level of leanness have more to do with your diet,
Oh, it does. But I mean,
nutrition.
I'd honestly, I'd never give anyone a 30 rep range. I look at
Oh
it
no, I
as,
wouldn't either.
I mean, in all honesty, that's 30 times the joint has to react. So then you start piling that all up, and then there's inflammation, tendon. So
Tendonitis,
yeah,
right? They,
so I get it. There might be studies out there that prove that you can. I don't think personally
I
it's
don't
not beneficial.
necessarily like it, and I also think some of it depends on the exercise too.
That I would give nothing at 30
And
reps.
I'm not saying
Yeah,
30, but I'm saying the higher rep ranges.
right,
Like no one's going to deadlift for 12, 15 reps at a clip.
right.
You'll see people do bicep curls at that, you lateral raises, bench presses,
Yeah.
maybe.
And I usually will encourage them if they're looking for more lean muscle. I'm going to encourage them lessen heavy the load, lessen the reps.
Right. Um, Moving on. Let's stick in the gym because I feel like the kitchen is going to take a minute. But let's go back into stick in the gym. Cardio doesn't help you lose weight. I agree that it is not the best way. However, and this is where the blanket statement comes in. Like you said, the one size fits all.
Well, for a long time, we have to realize we've been in an industry, and in everything, in anything, there have been some false information put out there. There was this huge push of all of the Zumba classes, all of the spin classes. I did it myself. I
Well,
mean,
you like that
because it was
stuff.
fun. So this is
It
where,
is.
like, the hardest part for me in talking about should you do cardio, shouldn't you do cardio? Again, it comes down to what your end result is, what you want. If you
Mm-hmm.
want lean muscle, then, and if you're 40 and above, then the cardio aspect is a very tricky um, area,
And cardio is one of those things because you don't want to say, oh, it doesn't benefit you, because it
right?
does. Like the heart is muscle.
It is.
It's the most
But just
important muscle in your body, because if
but
that's
just all you
not
have to do is get your 10,000 steps a week and or a day and go for a nice walk and or adding in extremely hard cardio, which most people aren't willing to do. And I'm not just talking about your HIIT workouts. HIIT workouts again are a cardiovascular workout, but I'm talking really tapping out and finding that high level
you're talking
threshold
like straight up
straight up.
VO2 max
Yeah,
lactic
just
acid
30 seconds. You
threshold.
can't, assault bikes and things like
Yeah.
that. Um, Again, like going to total fatigue, but then taking that full time to recover, going and hitting something heavy, and then coming back to that.
Well, that goes just to almost back to what I was saying with the rep ranges. When you go into a really low rep range, you rest more. You tend to rest 2, 3 minutes in between sets.
Yeah,
Same thing when you do VO2 max training. You rest 3, 4, 5 minutes and then work for 30 seconds.
yeah.
Some people,
My rest
that
is
gets boring.
my rest in my weight training is long.
Yeah.
I take longer rest,
I
but again, age takes into factor. I'm 48 years old, so I'm really, really scared of upticking my cortisol levels. There's a lot of hormone changes that you're kind of, the 20 to 30-year-olds don't really have as much to worry about. It's when you hit over that 40-year-old peak where things just start changing and your cortisol levels are different. Now, I will say that unfortunately, there are some kids or young women that are 20 to 30 right now that their age is truly acting as if they're 45 to 55
well,
because they have not taken care of their body. So again, they're finding that they're having struggles with weight gain and it's all the time and they cardio themselves to death. It's just kind of saying your body
and there
is
are
not right
other,
where.
especially with women, other hormonal factors.
Oh, tons, yeah.
Um, I have one client who I just started working with who has PCOS.
Mm-hmm.
That
Oh, that
has
one's a hard one.
That's a tough one, and that's a tough one to get through because and one I have talked about in previous shows we did talk about it is the whole calories in, calories out. Yeah, that plays a part. But when you have hormonal factors, the calories in, calories out is not the same as the calories in whose everybody's hormones are in the
Right.
same.
Well, and that's the other part of it, and this is the part that women really, really struggle with. if you're not going to be consistent with your diet, your sleep routine, um, your phone usage, these all are hormonal factors. And if you're just willing to fly by the seat of your pants, you're going to have problems. It's be ready for the train wreck. It's just not going to come together. If you're not willing to eat the protein and you're not willing to go to bed on time and you're not willing and you just use all of the excuses that there's so much going on,
Mm-hmm.
I want you to meet a high volumed person with a lot going on that finds that routine because there's no other way.
And so come back to that. We're going to talk about that actually in next week.
Okay.
But one of the things that I think that we tend to fall people tend to fall back on that as an excuse is, oh, I'm busy, I'm this and that. Dude, you and I are both pretty busy people. Our days start at 5ish in the morning.
I'm up at
Okay,
4. Yep.
4. Okay,
Yep.
I'm a little later than that, but not much. I'm usually closer to 5.
Yep.
Um, and we go until 7, 8 o'clock at night, and
I'm
I'm in bed at 9.
Yeah.
Like, so literally, I don't like. Yes, it can be boring at times. Yes, sometimes at the end of the week it can get a little frustrating.
Yeah.
But again, these are the habits that we've decided that we want to have. These are the lifestyles that we live. These are the jobs that we chose.
But most people are coming to us asking us for our help.
Right.
So,
Kind of practice
in a
what
sense,
you preach.
you go to what the people, you want to mimic what the people are doing that you need help from.
Right. I get it. But going back to the cardio thing, if we're going to say calories in, calories out, burn off more then yes, cardio will help you lose weight. It is not the most efficient. Okay. Right. I could go drive to Florida going down Route 40. Guess what? It ain't the most efficient as going down 95.
Right.
The other part of it is I see too many people, specifically when it comes to cardio, they get stuck in this routine. They come in, let's say they come in on Monday, they do Tuesday and do your spin class.
Okay.
Then they come in on
And
Thursday. What's that?
My spin's Monday.
Excuse me. Monday doing your spin class. Then they give themselves the next day they come and they walk on the treadmill at 30 for 30 minutes at a 5% incline at a 2.7 miles per hour. And they keep doing that. And maybe in the very beginning they lose some weight. Maybe they make some small dietary changes. But again, your body is adapts. We talked about what an adaptable machine your body is. The amount of calories that you burn is directly related to the amount of effort that you put into something. The more cardio you do, the easier it gets. So if you're constantly working in that same and not progressively overloading your cardio the way you would overload your weights, you're going to dry out.
You're not building an epoch. So you're not.
That's the other part.
With muscle, you're going to have that epoch.
And that's
so you're just. It's a cheat. I mean, I hate to say this, women. Lifting weights is cheating. It is cheating.
But that's for everybody.
For everybody, it's cheating because you get calorie burn that you didn't earn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you earned it in the workout, but it keeps going. Cardio, it just stops after it's done.
You will actually, in a good hard cardio session, and I'm talking a 2.5, 3 mile run on the treadmill, you'll burn more calories than you will lifting weights.
Yeah.
But during the session, you'll burn more calories in the long run. Your EPOC is higher after, like you said, your excessive post-exercise oxygen consumption. Big word.
Big word. Kind of like laborious.
I always like to call out the big words on this show because then people can use them for Scrabble.
Oh, there you go. Write that one down.
Right. But also,
they got time for Scrabble and they don't have time for a workout.
Exactly. Oh! Right. Going back to excuses.
No, I'm just kidding. Sorry.
Going back to, but those are the things that we don't overload enough. And the muscle will burn fat at rest as long as you keep working it. It will. And that's why you see big muscular guys eating 10 pounds of, what's his name? Michael Phelps during the Olympics. The myth was 8,000 calories a day. Of course I think that might have been a slight exaggeration.
No, I don't think so. I think they sat with him and he eats. I mean, but they also saw what his burn factor was. He was
it's ridiculous.
Like ridiculous. But they said there was something with his hormone levels, like naturally within his body, that he upticked calorie burn.
That's a lot of calories. I can't even fathom fitting that many calories in my body.
It's hard because you read one thing and you want the change so bad you're willing to live by it instead of asking for help. And I think what I see most in gym atmospheres, even at home, they don't want to ask for the help.
It's not even that they don't want to ask for the help. I think we're constantly inundated with such small clips and things
Hmm.
that we take what we hear at face value and not really dive into it.
Yeah.
Specifically, cardio is not the best way to lose weight. Just because it's not the best way to lose weight doesn't mean it isn't A, beneficial, and B, a way to lose weight.
Right.
If let me well, let's
Well,
let's
go
put
back to curves. Okay. So I don't bash anything.
curves.
Curves,
Oh, the gym.
the little
Yeah,
gyms,
yeah, yeah.
right? They were great for getting people off the couch. Were they the best? No. But it got people moving and it
Right.
got people started. So that's kind of like sometimes like I'm like, okay, if you just because I've had orientations with people and they're like, no, I just want to do cardio. And I can tell you every reason why not to, and that's all you wanted to do. And it just takes that time of kind of realizing like a it's a comfort level sometimes.
Hmm.
I'm comfortable doing this. Weight training is uncomfortable because they don't know how to do it.
And I think people get scared of it because, again, we talk about getting hurt and getting this. And if I
Hmm.
have someone who's never lifted weights before, first of all, I'm not going to put them under a bar
Right.
or under a huge load, but I'm going to stick them on a machine.
Hmm.
I'll put them in your little circuit.
Yeah, but also I think sometimes, people are just like, that's a lot for me to learn. They have to remember the routine. They have to do this, like, and they're like, I just know this, or that it worked when I was 20.
Now, I think that's the biggest thing.
Or
Well,
it worked at one time. But here's the thing you have to remember it worked at one time, but then the weight came back on, or something happened. You weren't satisfied with the result that you kept doing that. So,
and obviously, not only were you not satisfied, maybe you were satisfied with the result at the time.
mhm,
Are you going to be satisfied with the result now?
right.
Are all things equal, which
Yeah,
we know they're not when you're 34, when you're
right.
40 plus, and men and women. And here's the other part, and I see this with men a lot. Especially men. I see it more with men in their 30s than in their 40s, but I do see it with older men too. I'm going to do the workout that I did when I was 16, 17, 20,
That
whatever, and
coach
that
gave me
coach
info.
gave me,
Yeah.
right. Right.
Yeah.
The one that coach gave you to be a better football player, better lacrosse player, is not going to make you a healthier
Yeah.
individual. Not necessarily, but not. And there may be parts of that workout that you still do. One of the things that I remember coach had us do when we were younger, at least the football players, not necessarily us for lacrosse, but for the football players, they were power cleaning.
Right.
I'm not going to take a 50-year-old who hasn't worked out for 15, 20 years and have him do a power clean. It is a very
Right.
complicated movement.
Well, and also I think people are forgetting, like we said, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. It's a whole big package, and you can't just be looking at your cardio system because, like you
Right.
said, one of your things in the very beginning is it's very beneficial for your cardiovascular system. Well, you're right. But what about your skeletal muscular system? What about, your mobility? What about, and we have to start looking at our bodies as a full package. And, can I move? Can I reach to the top of the cabinet and get something down? Or am I setting it on this shelf here now because I don't have
Ooh.
mobility in my arm? Am I
Ooh.
setting things on the table because if I set it down there and I have to pick that bag of cat food up, I'm not doing it anymore. And cardio is not going to help you
Nope.
there. So
And matter of fact, in the long run, it could hurt you.
so basically my point of like it's not all cardio. You cannot live a full life on all cardio.
No. And
Does it have its place?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
And I think
Does it
that's
have its place per age?
hmm
Absolutely. And then your mobilities come in there where you need to be working and what you want to look like.
yes. And that I agree with. All right, let's move
Uh-oh,
on to
the
the big
big
one.
thing.
So this is the big one, and this is where I get, and you and I think, are very like mind on this one to some extent.
Okay.
Again, this is another one of this could turn into a little bit of a verbal sparring match, um, but I think we're pretty on the same page. Sugar makes you overweight. First of all, there have been studies done where people have eaten junk food in the right calorie amount and lost weight. We know, yes, as much as I hate the expression, our energy balance, calories in, calories out, however you want to phrase it, will does play a part in it. So if you are eating 1,100 calories worth of junk food and burning 2,000 calories a day, you will lose weight. You will not be healthy, but you will lose weight.
Right.
Okay?
Because again, you'll have more fat than you will body mass, which means lean muscle.
Muscle, blah, 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 blah.
And, then
Right.
your bone density goes down, blah, blah, blah. It's kind of like looking at that skinny fat person.
Right.
Two people, same size, same weight. One's muscular, one's not, but they're the same weight.
Same weight. Right. Secondly, not all sugar is the same.
No.
And using sugar, when we say sugar, I think first of all we have a vision of white table sugar.
Mhm.
If you said sugar, that's the first that's going to pop into most people's head.
Right.
And yes, that is a form of sugar. It is not the healthiest form of sugar.
No.
It is also, I'm going to say this, it is also not the unhealthiest form of sugar.
Probably not.
I'm going to get into that in a second. The big problem I have with it is, first of all, that all carbohydrates in some way, shape, or form are a form of a sugar. Even starches, even your things like your rice and your potatoes and blah, 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 that are low on the glycemic are a form of sugar. Secondly, when you come to sugar, and I've heard people say, oh, bananas, apples, mangoes, pick a fruit,
Mhm.
fruit in general, has too much sugar in it. You shouldn't eat fruit. Fruit not only has sugar in it, and then again, it is unprocessed, naturally occurring sugar. It has vitamins, it's got fiber, it's got all kinds of nutrients, as if you are eating it in its whole form.
Mhm.
Okay? Not dried fruit.
No.
Not fruit juice.
Okay.
Not fruit snacks.
Damn it.
I never did like fruit snacks.
I didn't either.
Those are, we'll get into that stuff in a minute.
Except for that roll up thing, you could ball it.
You know what? I'm going to say this.
You could ball it and put it in your cheek.
I'm going to say that
Like
I don't think
chew.
those were oh yeah, like I don't think it was necessarily that we liked the taste of those. I think we liked playing with those.
Yeah, you're right. Sorry to get you off track.
Right. Almost everyone can benefit from fruit in their diet, at least in a moderate form. Secondly, I'm going to say
now the key word is moderate.
Moderate. However, it is a lot harder to overeat fruit
Yes.
than it is going to be to overeat cookies. And again, we're going to get to that in a minute. Fruit is not as quote unquote highly palatable. Even fruit that is not organically grown is not going to have the same, at least in terms of your insulin response and as a cookie or sugar or processed sugars.
The big problem I have with fruit.
Okay, go ahead.
Is if you ask someone to go pick out a banana, they go pick the biggest banana they can.
Okay.
Okay. So usually when someone's saying that they eat a banana, they're eating two.
Okay.
Okay. But then my other problem is because they think fruit is healthy, they also say granola is healthy. So then they eat a banana with granola and some yogurt that's not really non-fat or high protein. It's like a junky yogurt. But they think yogurt is healthy because it's yogurt. So then you've put these three things together and you just sit there and like, oh, okay.
Right.
You've got diabetes in a bowl.
Well, and that so everything you just said there, I absolutely 100% agree with. I am going to say the caveat I'm going to say is even the biggest banana you're had is still far from the worst thing you could ever put in your body. However, I agree with what you're saying.
But how often are you putting worse things in your body?
And that's going to be the next part. If you're taking that giant banana and putting in some fruit on the bottom yogurt with granola, and granola is one of those things that when we talk about trap foods, I always throw that out there, and people are like, but it's nuts and it's twigs, yes, and it's bound together with processed sugar, which we're working our way to, and then we're going to put naturally occurring sugar on it, and then we're going to put fruit on the bottom yogurt, which has a whole level of syrup, which is again processed sugar on the bottom of it. Sugar from fruit and processed sugar are not the same thing and do not have the same impact on your health. Okay? So moving on. Next, we're going to move into our sugars, which are more processed, but still can be at least in brown sugar.
Okay.
Organic brown sugar. Organic white sugar, still not the best thing. Honey, agave, those types of things. Monk fruit. those types of things. Yes, they are higher in sugar. Should they be eaten all the time? Absolutely not. Could you put a little bit, a teaspoon, or even a tablespoon of honey in your with your breakfast in some way, shape, or form? In your smoothie, people do that. In your with plain non-fat Greek yogurt, a little bit of honey, maybe some protein powder. Doesn't mean we should be eating it all the time, and it doesn't mean it's going to be the end all be all of health. But a little bit of, especially raw, organic, locally grown honey is not going to be the same as the next level of sugar. Brown sugar, molasses,
Molasses.
agave
Yeah.
is another one, which is cactus honey.
Right.
Ugh.
I like it.
I have mixed
But
feelings about it.
I am as clean and natural as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So I do use honey, which is locally
Well, yeah, and then that's
sourced.
what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Locally grown honey,
Hmm.
organic brown sugar, organic molasses. Even if you've ever had actually Vermont maple syrup.
No, I love Vermont maple syrup. I use that in my coffee.
Do you really?
Hmm.
If you can ever get yourself on some Vermont or northern maple syrup, that
West
is.
Virginia is good too.
I've never had it from West Virginia.
Hmm.
I've only ever had it from up north, and oh my god, put that on your protein pancakes. There you go.
There you go.
Now let's move into where this is where the sugar really comes in, and this is your highly processed sugars. And this is when we say sugar, this is the stuff you should really avoid at all costs. Now, if you drink a soda once a year, hell, once a month, it is not going to kill you.
No.
If you drink a 2-liter bottle of soda every night from the time that you get home from work at 9 o'clock till the time you go to bed at 11.
If it doesn't kill you, I mean, that's like eating you.
Right. And again, that was me.
Yeah.
That's how I got that big. When I cut out soda, I lost so much weight so quickly.
Well, I can't imagine. I mean, how much sugar is in a 2-liter bottle of soda? It's got to be 100 and some odd.
I'm going to say 200.
I mean, I want to do the calculation now.
I'll do the calculation. I'll pull it up.
I mean,
and I'll put it in there.
That's crazy.
It was a shit ton. And when I look back at it. There was, I did the math, and I can't remember the exact breakdown, but it was something like 1,100 calories I was taking in a day just in that bottle of soda that I was drinking. And I would, again, literally almost drink a whole bottle of soda a night. Here's the thing. I kept drinking it because I was thirsty, because the soda was making me thirsty.
Oh, yeah.
And that's the part that I don't, and that's where corn syrup, which usually is 100% glucose, fructose, which is the processed version of the sugar from fruit. It is not the same as eating a whole banana. It's
right.
the extracting the fruit from that. High fructose corn syrup, which is the worst. And
if
again,
it's on your ingredient label, just put it down.
More or less, absolutely. And the places you really got to watch it is in condiments.
Yeah.
Because it's usually far down on there, and I was taught, at least from the time I was old enough to read an ingredient label, that the whatever the first 5 are the things that you got to worry about. But high fructose,
still in there.
It's still in there, and high fructose corn that is in small amounts can do. Again, one serving of, if you're at a bull roast and you have barbecue sauce, which I'm sure is not organic or homemade barbecue sauce.
I'm going to doubt it.
I'm going to doubt it. Right. But if I have that sandwich, one sandwich, it's not going to make me morbidly obese. But if I can keep using that same barbecue sauce all the time, if I use that barbecue sauce the way I use my sugar-free barbecue sauce,
okay,
or no sugar-added barbecue sauce,
you'd be a little chunky monkey.
I'd be way chunkier than I am now.
Chunky monkey? Yeah. I think what it comes down to, I think we know this, it's overall calories, because today you could have your pancakes with your maple syrup on it and things like that. And you could go a little over on what your sugar intake should be. And then tomorrow you're a little less, kind of looking at the end of the week. But if you're just going to drink a bottle of soda and you're just going to pour haphazardly as much syrup on top, and then, you had syrup on your pancakes, so you're going to put honey in your yogurt today. I would say when you're dialed in, as we are, we kind of go and say, oh, I had X, Y, and Z this morning. I probably should not have
Mm-hmm.
honey this afternoon because, or, I had the pancakes this morning with the syrup on it. I might not eat a banana with my lunch. You kind of try to tricks and balance it or checks and balance it as to what you're eating. I don't ever want to tell anyone you can't have fruit, but don't think that you can have blueberries in the morning, a banana in the afternoon, an apple, and just load your day with fruit because
No.
you think it's healthy.
Right. And I think that's
It all has a calorie content and a sugar content.
it does. And again, whole fruit is going to have a
Hmm.
much less calorie content than a whole cookie. However, at some point you want to start introducing more and more protein into your
Yeah.
diet. Sugar, high processed sugar, your high fructose corn syrup, fructose, galactose, which is the sugar extracted from milk and sugar lactose combined with glucose. Those types of things that are processed and put in they will do crazy things to your insulin levels. Okay, and in the short term, in one sitting, one time,
Hmm.
it's not going to give you diabetes in one
Right.
sitting.
That's something
However,
that you've been abusing.
you right, it's when
Yeah.
you abuse that. It may not even make you
Were
overweight.
you were you
No, I was not.
you were
That
not
was the only. And I think part of it because I was so young
okay.
that was the one health marker that
Right.
didn't. My A1C was creeping up, but they weren't even talking about putting me. And
Right.
again, this is 2009, so it wasn't like the medication wasn't a
Right.
thing. Um, but that was the one that it was just like, oh, pay attention.
Right.
You need to make some
Yeah.
changes. The bigger one was the biggest one was my blood pressure, and then my overall cardiovascular
Right.
health was just. I was also smoking at the
Okay.
time. Um,
Double whammies.
oh God, dude, the it's so.
I mean, when you're going to go unhealthy and go
Oh
down.
God, I went. I live by the motto "Go big or go home." I went
Oh.
big, literally. Um, but again, those refined sugars, and it wasn't so. You talk about the soda, and if that wasn't bad enough, then I'm eating a candy bar out of the vending machine because I was hungry mid afternoon.
Right.
I
Because you're
was
not eating
because I'm not
protein.
eating protein.
Hmm.
My breakfast was 9 times out of 10 a donut.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't a donut, it was usually a McDonald's breakfast sandwich that I just
Oh,
happened to get out of the house early enough to stop and
you're
get.
killing me.
Right.
You're killing me
It
slowly.
was it I was
Smalls.
killing myself
Yeah. No, you were.
slowly.
You were.
So you talk about those things, and that's where you watch that soda down. So again, go back to what we were saying before. We got a steak.
Hmm.
Okay, a steak in and of itself is not the most unhealthy thing in the world. It's not
No.
the end all be all of health, but it's also not the
Just
most
depends on if you
it
have
depends
high
on
cholesterol and,
right and
you
all of
know.
those things. But when you wash it down with the soda, the effects because your insulin is so high, you're gonna your fat storage and everything. Yes, calories in, calories out is your ultimate determinant of weight. However, again, you will your body will trick itself into taking in more calories and burning less calories
Hmm.
when you have a lot of sugar in your diet,
Yeah.
especially processed sugar.
Yeah. The process and the synthetic, that's where I get very concerned with people. They don't realize your body doesn't understand it. So natural sugar, the digestion of natural sugar is different than the digestion of processed sugars. Again, your body, your small intestine does not understand this high fructose product.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't understand the stevia, the not the stevia, the sweet and low, and the equal. Those are products that I get it that you're trying to cut the sugar content from it, but in all honesty, you're actually damaging all your
Well,
muscle
and
fibers and your tissues and your stomach, your gut lining.
saccharin, aspartame-based
Hmm.
sweeteners. I first of all, I never liked them.
No,
I never
I
understood.
never thought they taste like sugar.
Thank you, thank you.
As you wear a pink equal packet.
Right. Hey, Rockstar, neon pink. There we go. But yeah, I've always thought the same thing is how is this a replacement for sugar?
I'm like,
Like
how is this good? Yeah.
Splenda, I got which I have in
It
my
still didn't have like a good taste. Even stevia is, I struggle with stevia.
stevia is the one is usually my go-to
It has a
because
little bit of that aftertaste that
it's
it
got a
just
little bit
sits
of
in my
aftertaste,
tongue. Yeah.
but again, a little bit in my oatmeal,
Right.
a little bit. I have someone gave me a plant-based protein powder that tastes like, do you remember, you know what baker's chocolate is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it tastes like baker's chocolate.
Yeah.
I have to put a packet of stevia in it
Yeah.
just to be able to drink it.
So that's where like you'll use stevia. Like I will honestly use honey. I'm just going to be conscious of the day of what I'm
Mm-hmm.
using.
So
You know.
and that's where I use the stevia. But again, I use the stevia because the stevia is a more natural,
Mm-hmm.
non-nutritive sweetener, 0-calorie sweetener than honey. And this way, I can have.
Well, there's really not anything more natural than honey, though. I mean, honey
Oh no, no,
is
no! I'm not saying
super.
it's not,
Yeah.
but honey has calories in
Yeah.
it. Stevia does not, and I'd rather
Right.
be able to eat 2 bananas or a banana and
Right.
some blueberries throughout the day than have the honey and then just shoot all my sugar in one shot. If that makes sense.
Inject the honey.
Not like that. But no, that's my point. Is again, I'm choosing the stevia because I want my overall calories to level out,
Right.
and then I feel like I can do more
And
things.
also, like we have to consider, and this is for more of the people that truly like work out and watch their diet based on their workouts. You know, eating something that is like honey after a workout is going to work towards your body, not against your body, in a totally different way, in that you're refilling your glycogen levels, like those little pockets. So, you know, again, we can, with that knowledge, and those that lift have that knowledge of like refueling right after and what we need, and we don't need fat, but we need sugar, you know, quick carbs, and we need protein.
And so the one good thing about
That's when I get my junk in. That's when I
what post workout?
yeah,
Oh,
because that's
absolutely.
when I get, like, I'm not lying, like that's when I get my one Entenmann donut.
Did I? You're okay. I was okay.
My
You
Entenmann
have the
donut.
Entenmann donut. I know Rice Krispie treats you've
Yeah, I
talked
do
about.
Rice Krispie treats.
One of the things that I had, I was at a I was listening to a lecture recently on post exercise, post training nutrition, and they were talking about carbs, and she said vanilla protein powder and orange Gatorade.
Orange Gatorade.
Orange Gatorade and vanilla protein powder.
Hmm.
Same thing, less calories. And she's like, and everyone, and so
Yeah,
like half the room went, ugh, and the
because
other
that's an
half
orange dreamsicle.
right?
Woo!
Exactly.
That's bringing you back to the ice cream truck day,
right? And that was my point. My point is the Gatorade, those types of things, those processed, and Gatorade does have processed sugar in it. Gatorade is one of those things that I don't even know that Gatorade's actually marketed
I'd probably
itself.
put it in Tang.
Oh. Do they still make Tang?
They make Tang.
Okay, I was gonna say I haven't seen Tang since I was 10.
Come on.
I also haven't looked for it, but again, that processed sugar, because the processed sugar does absorb so fast, it will take the protein along with it.
Right.
So, and again, you've talked about your Rice Krispie treat before.
I do.
Same.
I like my Rice Krispie treat.
Entenmann donut would be the same thing. And again, even an Entenmann donut would be different than a bakery donut.
Not really. I mean,
really? You think?
No.
I don't know. I feel
they're
like
all really good warmed up.
No, donuts are meant to be eaten room temperature.
No.
The point is, regardless of how you eat your donuts, that yes, sugar is not is something is processed sugar is something to be avoided. Moderately processed honey, because let's face it, no one's going to go and take a chomp off of a honeycomb.
You haven't met me.
Okay, well, you better make sure the bees are out of it first. But even lightly processed stuff, again, your brown sugar, your molasses, that do require some sort of processing to get them from their natural state into a consumable form, are not the and then you have your sugar that is going to naturally occur in things that are natural. So again, we say sugar causes obesity, sugar causes this. Not all, you have to dive deeper into these things, and Cameron, right before we came, when I walked in here, she looked at the notes of this. She said, "You love your fitness myths." I don't think these are myths. I think these are things that get taken as, like you said, black or white, and people just.
Here's the problem, though, and this is where most of society eats shit.
Well, that I agree with.
Okay, so most of the society is obese because of sugar.
Well, that I also agree with, but they're not obese because they're eating too many bananas. No one's ever looked at a fat.
But they're not eating bananas.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
I mean,
no one's ever looked at a fat guy and said he eats too many bananas.
Right. No, I get it.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's. How about this? How about carrots?
So that you're upset that they go after the fruit when the
I'm
fruit's
upset
not the
that
problem.
we say sugar and use sugar
Yeah.
as a blanket term. That's
Yeah.
where I get upset. And then
Okay.
again, where I go back to what the other one, cardio doesn't help you lose weight. No, cardio can help you lose weight, but it's not the best way. Cardio is not the best way to lose weight is a different statement than cardio doesn't help you lose weight. High rep ranges are for getting lean. Not necessarily. You can get big on high rep ranges. Bodybuilders, matter of fact, they do a lot of high rep workouts. You know why? Because they do a lot of drop sets. They take their muscles beyond failure. So don't, like you said, it's not black or white. It's not one way or the other. Yes, I agree. Most people today, and I agree with you also when they say they want us to be confused.
Right.
I absolutely 100% agree that. I have a client who is one of your members that I had to have a 30-minute conversation with about what's the difference, about what processed foods you should be able to eat and shouldn't be able to eat.
Oh.
Because she looked at something, she bought a bag of lettuce, which I agree, a bag of lettuce is not as healthy as getting a head
Right.
of lettuce and making your own salad mix. However, at some point you have to acknowledge the world you live in, your own busy
Sure.
schedule, and buying a bag of shredded lettuce is going to be better than making yourself a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Sure.
So she says, well, this is processed food. Yeah, it is processed food, but it's not really. It's food and it's pre-cut up, it's pre-shredded,
It's washed. It
right.
hasn't. Nothing's been added to it.
Right.
So I wouldn't consider a bagged lettuce being a processed food.
But she showed me the literature that she
Yeah.
read that this was a processed food.
Right.
Pre-cooked chicken breast is another one. The Purdue,
Yeah.
which again is not as good as
But it's something better than nothing.
Then again, if you're on the go and you need that extra to make
Mm-hmm.
to make your meal prep,
Oh, it's like lunch meat. I mean, no one should eat lunch meat.
I would argue that the pre-cooked chicken breast, like the
Right.
Purdue, in the strips,
Yeah.
because you look at that and you can say that is chicken breast.
Mm-hmm.
You don't look at I don't look at a slice of deli ham and go, that was
No.
a ham, that was a pig at one
That
point.
But again, you've said this many times. It's where are you? We've said this, like,
Mhm.
where are you in your phase of life?
Mhm.
And I've been in the industry. We've said it 22 years. You've been in the industry 4 or 5.
Yeah, 5.
Okay. You're going to see from your 4 and 5 years to your 10 years to your 20 years, like big mind blowing changes in how you feel, how you look at things. Because again, you can only dial in at one thing at a time.
Well, and that's the part that I get to when I hear things like this is
Mhm.
when I'm not looking for me. I know what I know.
Yeah.
I know to go deeper. You
Yeah.
know to go deeper.
Yeah.
But what about the and I'm going to call her by name. What about the Candaces of the world who are
Uh-huh.
just starting?
Right.
And they're looking at the same information that we are, and they're not processing it the same way. They're seeing, oh, bagged lettuce is processed food. Processed food is bad
So
for
do
you.
you know what I have to say to that?
What?
That's why they need us.
Well, that I agree with. And that is why we have jobs.
But in all honesty, this is where people need to understand, like, you need us because we've done this work.
Mm-hmm.
Why? It's like going and writing an English paper and asking your cousin to read it. Why wouldn't you ask your aunt who's the English major to read it
Right.
and to give you, you want to come to us because we can sit there and go, okay, look, where you are in your level, this is what's going to happen. You're going to have some shortcuts. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. But here's where this is the end game. This is where we're trying to get to. And we can kind of clue it out for or clean it up for you.
And I think that's the thing when I come with these myths and half truths all the time, because you're right. It is a big pet peeve of mine that these snippets, let's call them, because that's what they are. Our attention spans have become so short that we want to, 15 seconds is an eternity.
Well, we want the quick fix to everything.
Right. And when we're looking for that quick fix, we only hear that phrase, which we may or may not interpret correctly. And then it leads us down to a path where we end up not doing anything because we're so inundated with good intended, maybe, or at least good information that's not giving us the whole story.
Well, and also we have to look at, if you have a population of 100 people and you say one thing to 100 people, cardio is not going to work. It is going to work for 1% of the population or 10% of the
Well,
population, or so those snippets are really only intended for a certain percentage of the population, but yet they're going out to the
so
masses.
that is true, and you're right, because if I wanted to drop 5 pounds, I'm not gonna. I'm already lifting. I'm already eating. Yes, there's one or two changes that I could make
Hmm.
nutritionally, but the big thing that I could start doing is more cardio.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, I do in about a week, I don't know why I looked at my watch that I'm not wearing. But in probably another week, I'm going to start doing more cardio because I'm going to be training. So I will start doing more cardio to get my weight down and my cardio up, so I don't gas out.
But here's the thing, you're going to increase your cardio, but you're not going to decrease your weight training.
Not exactly. I will change it, but I won't decrease it. No,
But you're not going to decrease it.
no,
And that's what people do.
absolutely. And they want to do just the one or the other, because the other part about cardio, most cardio, walking on the treadmill, the elliptical, the bike, whatever it is a little more mindless,
Mhm.
because you don't have to think about it as
Sure.
much. And it's what they know how to, like, everyone knows how to walk.
Right.
Everyone can figure out how to do
Yeah.
the elliptical. Most people know how to ride a bike,
Yeah.
especially people our age know how to ride a bike.
So my tip for you guys is to contact the trainers.
And that's right. That let us help you. Let me, let Cameron, let Deidre, let Matt, whoever it is, contact one of us. Go through the episodes. There's a way to get a hold of all of us if you're
Mhm.
looking for help. We're gonna be here to help you. That's what we want to do, because we want to guide you through these myths, these half truths, and find out what part of it's going to work best for you and your fitness journey, because everybody's journey is different.
It is.
Okay. So that's all we have for this week. I want to thank Cameron once again, and hopefully she'll be back next week.
Okay.
All right. Next week we are going to talk about. We're going to stick in the kitchen. We're going to sort of
Kitchen.
in
All
the
right.
kitchen. All right. We're going to talk about the calories in, calories out.
All right.
All right. We're going to talk about some big things that make that, again. I didn't put it in this one because I almost wanted to do the whole show about it.
Okay.
Why that is, to me, saying calories in, calories out. I'm going to just give you a little preview. It's like saying the best way to save money is to not spend it. Okay. Yes, that's true. However, it's also not realistic.
Yeah.
Okay. So we're going to break that statement apart. We're going to talk about some things next week that are going to help you with your nutrition and help you get into that calorie deficit without not having to get into this big calorie deficit as you think you do. So until next week, check out Cameron at Model A Fitness on Facebook and Instagram. Follow me, Rockstar Fitness, on Facebook, DWebster023 on Instagram, Coach Dave's Country Kitchen on YouTube. Follow the show on Facebook and Instagram. And until next week, woo!